Finally gonna kick your ass in a fighting game, Trevor.
Not today.
Oh, hell yes.
It's go time.
If you say so. Don't cheat.
I make
right?
no promises. Watch this.
Hey, Trevor.
Yes?
Did you order a pepperoni with an extra large sausage?
I thought that was your easy order.
No shit, you're right. Hey, why is my controller not working?
Because we're not playing a game. We are watching the new Devil May Cry anime.
Hey, look! The Three Stooges came out to play. Jackpot!
Oh. Shit, this fight scene's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what do you say we make a review of it for the channel?
Honestly, as long as I can drink, I think I'm down.
Sounds good to me. Let's get into it.
Awesome.
What is up, Nighthawk Nation? Welcome back to the Nighthawk Gaming channel. Like we said in the intro, we got something important to to give you guys. Alright? Today, we are going to be doing our first ever in-person review. Trevor, what are we reviewing today?
The new Devil May Cry anime.
Yes.
It was definitely a thing to watch.
Like first impressions.
First impressions, so coming from the...
If you guys couldn't tell, we will be having some adult beverages as well.
Coming from the fact that I used to watch the old Devil May Cry anime music videos and the, like some of the old school gameplay, and I'm coming from a time where, like, Devil May Cry at one point had a sword that was an electric guitar. Honestly, it was something fresh. It was something new. I really enjoyed the fact that you didn't have to follow from the story if you didn't want to.
You're talking about this new show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to follow from the story if you don't want to, but if you are familiar with the story, there's a lot of nods and there's a lot of cool little flashbacks and Easter eggs that you get to see in the show.
Did it follow the canon at all? Because, if you guys don't know, I don't know anything about Devil May Cry except for what I've seen online. I just started playing Devil May Cry 5. I actually saw the anime before Trevor actually saw it. And that's how we kind of had this idea. But, kind of tell them what you have so far, like, as of your familiarity with Devil May Cry, besides just the anime.
So I've played a few of the games in the past. I can confidently say I don't think I've ever finished one of the Devil May Cry games, but I've definitely played through a good portion of them. And I know the lore just based off of, you know, what I've watched and what I've played, and
yeah,
it wasn't canon, that's for sure, but
okay.
A lot of elements were exactly what we wanted them to be, I'd say. Coming from like a fan of the series, it had a lot of really good elements that I was really happy to see in there, especially like callbacks to certain bosses, certain enemies, just the overall look of Dante in general, the way that he acts and moves, his mannerisms. It's pretty cool to see it.
Yeah, and we'll go into so the first half of this video is going to be kind of just our overall take, episode by episode, not doing a spoiler, but not doing a spoiler until the second half of this video. So this first half is just going to be our initial thoughts, and then Trevor and me will kind of go into spoilers. He'll kind of probably point out a little bit more of why it wasn't canon compared to regular what I know. But that being said, is there anything else you want to add before we kind of go episode by episode?
Honestly, if you're looking for a new take on the story, if you're looking for something fresh, something new, definitely give the show at least a watch the first episode. Give it a shot.
Absolutely. That's going to be our recommendation.
Yeah.
Is that it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, if you're new to it, you'll probably like all the action and all the cinematic events that go on. So
it brought us back to, because we grew up in the early 2000s, so it brought us back to those AMAs that we used to watch, like Naruto, with like the Limp Bizkit kind of music and those kind of things, just playing along to fight scenes. But
yeah, definitely a fan of, if you couldn't tell already, old school animes.
Yes.
Getting to see Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 Goku fighting to old rock music.
Yes.
Yes.
The Rock Lee Gara music videos.
Nostalgic.
But yeah, so I'll be throwing the title up here for episode 1 with the actual title of it. But this will be episode 1, kind of our thoughts. I was taking notes during while we were watching it, so just kind of some things that I have. Now, we won't go into spoilers, so I might skip a few of these questions because they're gonna be spoilers. But let's start with episode 1. What did you think on episode 1? I will give a ranking after here in a minute.
Honestly, it was pretty good overall. I like how they really give you that first initial nod into who Dante is.
Mm-hmm.
So, not being familiar with the how would you say, like the introduction to the enemy.
Yes.
Aside from him, I like everything that they did with like the beginning of Dante. You know.
So what was your thoughts on the initial, like, what was your thoughts on the main villain's intro? So it was one of the first things we got.
Very gripping, especially for like a new enemy.
Yes.
A new bad guy, a new antagonist. It was a really good and gripping, and
it was unique.
Yeah.
It was unique. Not something you would expect when it comes to an anime.
Right.
At least not one of the ones we've seen. Like, we have, again, early 2000s, very extensive. We've watched a lot of anime. So your thoughts on the villain? The main villain was pretty good?
Yeah, he was pretty unique and very, very scary for an initial villain.
Yes, I kind of thought that as well. It's this is gonna be a two-parter question, but we have the animation, your thoughts on that, and then we'll go into the other aspect of the animation, kind of the more computer side.
Okay.
Yes. So what were your thoughts on the animation?
Okay, so if I could give everything else in the show a 10, honestly, the animation is where I have my drawbacks.
The animation, not the CGI.
Both.
All right.
Both.
So
And
the
it's
animation
only-
took you out.
It's only because I grew up watching the original.
The original anime.
Yeah.
Yes.
So seeing the new version, it honestly, it looks too familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a little bit too much like a lot of the newer anime shows that are coming out now.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a unique look.
Yeah, it's very computer generated. I grew up in a time where everything was
Yes.
hand drawn, so all of our animes were like hand drawn with a little bit of computer animation or computer assistance. And now it's the other way around, where a lot of it just feels too uniform, too cartoony.
It felt too clean.
Yeah.
It felt way too clean. Like, it just didn't feel like there was mistakes that were made.
Right.
Not saying that mistakes are a good thing, but it didn't have its own kind of fingerprint.
Exactly. There was a little bit less personality in the sense of animation.
Now I'll ask. The second part of that question is the CGI.
Ooh.
That was a rough one for me.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it was.
So when I watched the show prior to showing it to Trevor. My initial thought, I sent him a text message. I'm like, "Hey man, you remember? It's like those old Jetix shows. Iron Man Armored Adventures, Dragon Boosters. I think at one point while we were watching today, it was like, oh, it's Max Steel.
Yeah.
Like the CGI just takes you out of it.
Yeah, it's a little bit less. What's the word? Use it for video games. When you're like immersive. Yeah.
It's immersion. It's immersion breaking.
Yeah, it really is, especially when you have like, and a really good point I think we brought up was there's like people walking on the street, and you see the people walking, and the one person that is the main character for that scene is animated, and everybody else around them is CG, and they're just moving at a different frame rate. And
So I forget what anime it was, but it was one of those gag anime where they're walking on a cliff, and it's like, hey, don't step there, and the person goes, why? Because it's animated differently, it's gonna break.
Yeah.
It was kind of one of those things where it's like, I wonder who the main character. It's like also if you've ever seen on like Facebook or Instagram, it's like, I wonder who the main character is, and then it shows like everyone playing, and then you've got like Yu-Gi-Moto from Yu-Gi-Oh, and it just stands out.
Guess the main character.
Guess the main character.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on CGI before we go to the next question?
Honestly, I know it'll come back up later on, especially with the later episodes, but
yes, it will.
Animation in general was definitely the biggest hit for me. And I mean, I can say now I liked all of it, but that animation will be a problem.
It'll take you out of it.
Oh yeah.
I like the animation.
It's only hard, like I said, just because it reminds me too much of Dante's Inferno, the animated movie.
The animated movie, not Dante's Inferno, not like Dante from Devil May Cry.
No, Dante's Inferno, because I played the video game for Dante's Inferno.
Yes, I did know.
And then I watched the movie, and the movie is like several different animation styles, and I'm just trying to keep up with it.
Yeah. So move on to the next question. What did you think of Dante's VA, the voice actor?
Oh, very familiar.
Right?
Very familiar.
He almost sounds like another one of the characters that we grew up with.
Yeah. And honestly, for Dante, it kind of fits.
It did. It was very fitting.
Yeah.
I
would say it kind of is him.
Yes. I never watched the original anime, so I don't know compared to what his voice sounded like in that, but from what I've seen from the video games, the voice is very fitting. Now, I don't know who the video game voice actor is. I'll look it up and I'll put it down here, and we'll see if it's the same person. Yeah. So you like the VA?
Yeah. Voice acting overall was actually pretty
Just
good.
the entire show was pretty good.
Yeah, they did a really good job taking their time and putting that one together, having everybody do really good dialogue.
Yes. Hey, just give me 1 second. Yo, get out of the way. Lay down, buddy. Lay down. What do you think of Dante's design? I know it's different than it was previously, only slightly, but I guess Dante's design and everyone in the show's design.
I can live with it because of DMC.
Because so when you say DMC, you need to clarify. What do you mean by DMC?
Oh, that one game. Not Devil May Cry. Not Devil May Cry at all.
So
DMC.
It was Devil May Cry. We're talking about the emo one where they tried to do a reboot and it just didn't work.
Dante's hair wasn't even white.
No, it was not. So that didn't work. No. All right. So, but the overall design for the show and for the characters
actually really good. Some slight issues with like certain
things.
Yeah, without spoilers.
We'll go into spoilers in that section.
Certain things that were a little bit iffy, but other than that, I mean, Dante's character design, his model was pretty good.
Yes. The theme song. Again, early 2000s, we grew up.
Oh yeah.
The theme song.
Yeah, actually, almost all the fight scenes in general, they had really good fighting music.
Well, we talked about it. It's what we grew up with, the AMAs, where people would upload onto YouTube and just add music.
Right.
Can't do that anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, we get copyrighted all the time when we try and put music in our videos.
They did it pretty good. They hit the nail on the head with.
Well, I think, what was it? One of the Helldivers videos I got copyrighted because I forget what I did. Oh, it was I Can Be Your Hero. That was a bad one for me. I got copyrighted for having 31 seconds of I Can Be Your Hero. We'll move on to the next one. So you like the theme song?
Yeah, it was
Alright.
a good one.
So this is kind of encompassing the humor of the show, but basically it's I just wrote it down as the next slide answers the question. So we won't go into spoilers on that, because when we go into spoilers, we'll talk more about that. But just the humor of this first episode really was gripping.
All right, and it happens to be like a. I want to say now at this point it's a long running joke.
It is.
It's a cartoon, and I know that.
Yes.
And it's a city full of demons and
Yes.
demon hunters, but the amount of inconsistencies is ridiculous.
We'll go into spoilers on that.
Like ridiculous.
We'll go episode by episode on that as well when we get into spoilers. But
I mean, things that like should not be is B.
Yes. Kind of going along with the humor as well was the cameos, so we'll talk more about that in spoilers.
Yeah.
You know, we were, and again, I have to skip over this question as well because it's spoilers, but you know, we were sitting here talking. Not everything is connected to something else, Trevor.
I don't believe that.
We'll go into more of that, but basically, it was not everything needs to be connected.
That whole show, the whole thing, is one giant Easter egg.
Yeah, it was. It was. At least that first episode had the most Easter eggs. I think I counted like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'll touch on before I'll give you like your last what you want to say before I get my rating. Or I'm sorry. I'll ask one more thing and then let you talk. You'll give your rating and then I'll give mine. All right. So the last. Let me try and phrase this without giving a spoiler. The last sequence that kind of encompasses the humor of the show.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on that? Like, did it break the immersion for you?
Which part?
The very last before it cuts to credits, where Dante's in his apartment. Did that break the immersion for you, or did that feel pretty Dante?
It didn't break the immersion for me. It felt pretty Dante, but it also felt very old school anime. Playful.
It did.
Filler scene.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it did. It was filler like the ostrich in Naruto, or the Naruto bot.
Yeah.
But it was good filler.
Yeah, it was that Dragon Ball Super episode where they were just trying to figure out what wish to make.
What wish to make. You know, how to drive.
Yeah. Piccolo and Goku trying to learn how to drive.
But yeah, I'll kind of let you touch on your first, your final thoughts on the first episode and your rating.
So that first episode was actually really fun to watch, especially being that it was my introduction to the show. Getting to see Dante just kind of be Dante, and getting to see that first encounter where you don't know who he is if you've never played the games.
Yes.
Or if you already know who he is and you like getting to that first encounter, no matter where you're coming from, that is a perfect way to start Dante. And honestly, that ending was a perfect way to end the episode too.
That section in Dante's office.
Right.
Or in apartment. But so your final thoughts on it, like what would you rate it out of 10?
First one, a solid 7.
Okay. I'm gonna be a little bit more nice, apparently, on this episode. To me, I thought it was a great pilot. It really got me into the show. Obviously, I've seen it before, so I knew what was going to connect later on down the line from this first episode. So,
right.
To me, I gave it an 8 out of 10. So, I liked it. You know, maybe a little bit more because to me, you know, a 6 is above average, 5 is average.
Right.
So, to me, it was not perfect. It had some things that kind of took me out of it. The CGI just kind of brought it down for me.
That was definitely
Unfortunately,
a big
I'm not a big fan of the CGI. It brought it down for me.
one. Yeah, that was a big one.
But what brought it down to you? Like, why did you give it a 7?
Well, that's...
And we won't go into like why we're giving the scores for every one of these. I just want to set the baseline on this first episode on why we rated it this way.
Animation ends up being like my biggest hit for the whole show.
Well, it's fitting because because of your background.
Right.
If you want to kind of say why you enjoy art styles a little bit more than I do.
Oh well, I mean, when it comes to that, it not really is that, because I do appreciate CGI and animation. I'm just OCD and weird, and I can't stand seeing two animations fused together. It bugs me so bad to see really nice animation and then have it like muddied up with CG, or just, let's take a step in the other direction. I don't like seeing them at different frame rates.
Yes.
Moving, like, when you have one bad guy fighting and he's moving like 3 times
he's
faster.
He's moving 60 frames per second.
Yeah, and everybody else is over there like 30. And I'm like, what is happening?
Alright, so that's kind of what brought it down, was the animation for you.
It was definitely the animation, and I mean, I watched that show, like, hand-drawn animation.
Yes.
So...
it wasn't as bad as the new Berserk anime, where it was all CGI, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no, not that bad.
That
was bad.
Season 2. Yes, it wasn't season 2 of JJK or some episodes of MHA, where it got really, really artsy and good.
Yeah.
I don't think you've seen those episodes, but I have, and it got amazing. Demon Slayer animation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they go all out for their animation.
But we'll go to the next episode, episode 2, Electric Boo Boo. I'll put the title in for this. We, again, first thing, the team. It was a running joke the entire time. So don't go into spoilers, because again, everything's not connected. But your initial impression of Team.
Let's just say that. Oh my gosh.
A specific character you were not happy with.
Oh, I really hate Mary.
You don't have. Yeah. You didn't have to name her.
That's not even a strong enough word.
Yes.
Can I get a wanted poster for her? Please?
You know what? We should make wanted posters.
Please.
Yes.
It's like every time that I've seen her do something,
it just pissed you off.
she did something worse right after.
Oh, and what's funny, and we're not going into spoilers, but you would say, "Man, I hate her," and I'm like, "Just wait." You can hear more.
Yeah, I hate her more.
All right. So your impression of Team overall, not that impressed.
Not that impressed, and it kind of takes a nod back to how we were saying. Some of that animation kind of doesn't seem all that unique.
No.
It looked very familiar. It looked like something I've seen before, kind of recently.
Yes, a superhero show that may also have a team in it.
I'll leave it there.
Yes, we'll go into spoilers on that. Actually, we need to do a review of that as well. I know that's going to be a couple months late at this point, but we will if we choose to. But
there's 3 seasons.
We can do 3 seasons, or we can do 1 season, or we'll figure it out. Let's get this done first. So I'm gonna go to the next one. I don't think they know how bullets work. We won't go into spoilers on that, but I don't think they know how bullets work. Yeah. Any input on that one?
Imagine how a little child would draw a gun shooting. That's exactly. That's exactly what all of the gunfights look like.
All right. So we kind of, I liked Mary. I like short-haired women. You didn't, so we'll just kind of skip past the baddie comment on my list. You already made your feelings known on that one. But the fight choreography.
Oh, badass.
In this episode and kind of all together.
Pretty badass. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, like, again, going from AMA, style videos that we used to watch.
Last Resort, the Valley of the End, the first fight with Naruto and Sasuke when they're both kids.
Yeah, like it felt right.
Yes.
There's rock music, there's explosions, there's, badasses fighting badasses, and that's, you kind of need that now. You get a lot of, like, the same thing, like, okay, a fight is a fight is a fight, but to see, somebody swinging a sword and shooting a gun and kicking and fighting and punching and moving all around and making jokes while it's happening, that was really good. That was really good.
A couple of these I have to skip because they're spoilers. It's not a spoiler. It's just part of this episode, but towards the end, after the big fight after the big fight choreography, they have a chase. Made no sense at all. It's not a spoiler, we're not going to go any further than that, but it just made no sense and it pissed both of us off.
Inconsistencies throughout.
Yes.
Again, it's a cartoon, I know. They're fighting demons, I know.
Yes.
But it still don't make sense.
Yes. And there were some references in that episode, in episode 2 as well.
Yeah.
But that's all I have for this. So your final thoughts and your rating. Because we kind of got to speed.
Episode 2 pissed me off.
Yes.
But it was good. It was really good, but it pissed me off because I got introduced to the one character I really don't like. There's a lot of inconsistencies with her.
Yes.
With her specifically.
Yes, and we'll get into more of those towards the end of it, too.
But overall, it had probably one of the better fight scenes throughout the whole series.
Okay.
So I gotta give it that. And it's just like one of those, okay, we're getting a feel for how he is, how he fights, what he does, where he's going. And it was really good to like get that out there.
So your final rating for that episode?
I'll have to go down a little bit, give it a 5.
Really? So it was an average episode. Throughout all of TV, it was an average episode for you.
We were doing that balance.
Okay.
Really good fights, really great Dante.
Yeah.
Everything else.
So I'm reading my list, and after we were talking, I thought I was gonna be actually lower than you on this one, but I'm not. I'm actually at a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, just. I think this is the worst rated video, or the worst rated episode for me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because you didn't take notes, obviously, so you kind of doing this off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so to me, this is probably going to be the worst rated episode. Is it still watchable or is it skippable?
No, that absolutely watch.
Like you need to watch it.
You have to get some information. You have to understand my hatred.
Well, there was backstory. There's backstory that you needed, and it's actually funny because it's one of the things that I skipped because we're like, backstory again? It's in the second episode in a row there was backstory.
It was definitely something.
But alright. So episode 3 title, Mary's backstory. We kind of see a little bit of her backstory.
I don't know why, but seeing her backstory made me not like her a little bit more.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't find that one scene funny?
I mean, the whole thing, just overall, she seems like the sad pick-me.
She's a pick-me girl to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like try hard pick-me.
Okay, yeah.
Like, okay.
You can see it.
I get why you're the hard ass of the group and the leader, but also, oh well, you live in a world with demons.
So this has been all over social media since this episode, so it's not really much of a spoiler, but the joke about Raccoon City job.
Ah.
Yeah, it's just...
Okay, we're going back to that. Yes.
We're going to go back to that in spoiler?
No. We're going back to the first episode spoilers to this. Yes, everything is connected.
Yeah, okay. And some things are connected, yes. Again, it's a Capcom show, so they're going to show Capcom stuff.
I was going to say, the next part of that was they had a lot of really good Capcom Easter eggs.
Literally next note, cameos.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it works together. So, yeah, seeing the little Megman on the dashboard.
Well, you're going into spoilers there.
Oh, well, that's not really a spoiler.
It's not really a spoiler because it's not story.
Yeah.
But it's in there.
Capcom related.
Yeah. We joked because we're like, oh, Monster Hunter, and we've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter lately. It was like, oh, Capcom owns Monster Hunter. I wonder what we're gonna see. And there's one part in, I think it was like episode 6 that we were like, oh, this is our only Monster Hunter reference. All right. I think this one had the worst CGI.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because this was the one where they introduced the bad guy group.
Yeah.
And just seeing them, it was horrible.
They're so out of place. I mean,
just doesn't fit.
To the point where the main bad guy, I said it before, it's not his show.
No.
He's in the wrong show.
Well, you're talking not the main bad guy. You're talking about the right hand man.
Yeah, like he's not supposed to be in this show.
It
just not his animation at all.
It just took me out. Like, I understand the artistic choice where you're gonna make the demons CGI and you're gonna make the humans animation, and just to make them look different. But it just took me out of the show.
Honestly, it was so bad. It kind of looked like a Power Rangers bad guy.
Yeah, it looks like a buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Bullets do nothing.
No, bullets do nothing when they want to do nothing.
Yes. If it's not a main bad guy, the bullets are the best things to use. If it's anyone that's not a main character, bullets work.
Well, and then bullets work on the main bad guy when it's time.
When it's time.
You know, because like, let me shoot him in the...
That's episode 8.
Yeah.
So let's hold off on that. But bullets don't work in this episode at all.
Well, no. They showed it in that very first one, in the second episode.
Yeah.
Bullets work.
Bullets work
one time
when it's not
you know,
a main bad guy or main character. Actually, it just doesn't work on the main character at all. It does not work on Dante.
The inconsistencies.
No, that wasn't that episode. Never mind. The new fetch quest. I'm trying to remember. Oh, this was the episode. That's a spoiler, so we'll think about it. But it's the bad guy does what he set out to do, and then all of a sudden there's another thing that he has to do. So, like, that's what I mean by a new fetch quest.
You know, like, you could just pick him up.
Yeah.
And walk away, and you're done right there.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to pick him up. You could have done a lot less.
Yes.
But yet, instead, you walked up to him and said, good job. And then walked away, knowing that you needed more.
Oh, spoiler again, but, the grenade. Yeah. Where the bad guy wasn't even trying.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the,
No, not that one. No, we'll go into spoilers on both of them, but...
You gotta go back to that.
Yes, we were gonna go back to that.
It's never used again.
No. So your
Okay.
final thoughts on this episode?
Well, let's talk about that grenade for a second.
Okay. All right.
I have never seen a more nonchalant Spider-Man 3 reference in my life.
I don't know if it was a Spider-Man 3 reference. To me, it just looked like he just didn't try. Like, he just, like, went, oh, shit. And it just, yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't even mean to do that.
Think. But overall...
For a genius character, too, that was stupid.
Yeah. Overall...
If you rate this one lower than me again...
I was gonna say, I could honestly skip this one.
This is a skippable one for you.
Pretty low.
Even with the Papa Roach highway scene.
Not...
Maybe just watch that one scene.
I was gonna say, that whole episode could be filed down to a single AMA.
Yes, the only thing to watch is the highway scene.
Yeah, the highway fight scene.
With Papa Roach.
Call it a day. The whole episode was done on that one bridge, though, right?
Yes.
So yeah, honestly, yeah.
Well, there was the backstory, and then there was them driving.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Aside from that, whole thing could have been filed down to a single anime.
Yeah. All right. So your final thoughts, and then the rating.
That was definitely like a 3.
That's the 3.
That was a
God
3.
damn it, man.
That was-
You're.
It was a rough watch.
Yeah. What? I know what made it a rough watch for me, but what kind of made it rough for you?
4 different worse levels of CGI.
Yes.
As it went on,
That's my note. CGI
progressively got
CGI.
worse. And then just the fact that whole episode felt a lot like filler.
Yes.
Not that it was, because I know majority of it was important, but
it felt filler though.
Yeah, everything that was not important, like every 20 seconds, filler.
It felt like the anime's catching up to the manga. We need a side quest.
Yeah.
So and that's what we grew up with. So I guess it does encapsulate what we did. But let me give my thought real quick on this, and then we'll do that. But I think I'm gonna go with a 5 out of 10. This is an average one for me. I've seen some pretty bad shows. I've seen some good shows, so this is gonna be average for me. Just that CGI just took me out of it. And the problem is it wasn't just the bad guys. It was on the highway.
It was especially worse when it was a CG Dante.
Yes, that was what I was talking about on the highway.
And like it was just not normal.
No.
Why?
And any more thoughts on that?
Yes. The episode, although it is my least favorite, and
I did rate it lower than the one previously.
And I feel like it could be skipped. There is one major important part in that episode that you have to see.
Is that a spoiler, or you can talk about it a little bit?
It's a spoiler.
Okay, we'll come back to that one then.
But yeah, it's important to see it happen and then watch it play out for you to grow.
Just keep a hold of it, and then we'll get to spoilers.
Yeah.
But all right, so episode 4, whatever it is. First thought of what partial devil trigger looked like.
The partial was pretty cool.
Partial was pretty cool.
Yeah. Seeing it happen, seeing it get triggered. Annoyed that he just stood up and said,
it finally did
we're
something.
ready.
After they had sat for like 10. Again, it just feels like filler.
20 of the 30-minute episode was him just sitting there. And then the last 10 of him being able to
But
do that.
here's the thing. Is there's some good aspects of that filler section, and which we're about to get into here in a minute. But so your thoughts on partial devil trigger?
The partial was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel like a certain character was going a little too heavy with the religion? And this is throughout the whole show with this one character.
Not for the source material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, haven't played anything, haven't seen anything. Just some videos every once in a while.
There was always some sort of aspect that did have to bring the game back to angel versus demons, you know. So he played his part pretty well.
So you don't feel like it was too heavy-handed?
No.
Okay. And you don't think it'll make Christians angry?
No.
I don't think
it's just he needs to be consistent though.
Yes, he does. I don't want to see in season 2 him drop it.
Yeah. Yeah, like he better become almost an antagonist.
I think he will, because well, that's spoilers, but at the end you kind of see him with that main villain of season 2, I think.
Right.
All right, so this was the part in the filler part that I said that I think you kind of enjoy, was the old animation versus the new animation.
Yeah, that
one
monologue,
section. Yes.
It was like shown on the older style TV. It had the really good, perfect AV grain.
The shading, the grain,
Yeah.
the shadows. It just looked like what we grew up with, and I just wanted more of it. And we
Yeah.
only got it in this and the next episode.
It felt nostalgic.
Yes,
It
it
felt
did.
like it was bringing it back.
Would you have preferred the entire show to look like that, or the entire show be what it looks like now?
I'd prefer if it looked like that, but I already watched that show.
Yes,
You
you
know,
did.
That already came out.
And this is
So-
its own thing. It needs to be its own show.
Yeah, like I said, it's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
The animation's not unique, but
it's not. It's not like how everything else looks.
Right.
It actually still does have its own style, at least.
I would have probably said if they would have done anything with CG, should have been the effects.
Mm-hmm. Kind of the After Effects, the SFX.
Yeah,
You know, the explosions,
That
the
probably
attacks,
looked okay.
those kind of things.
yeah.
Yeah, I did notice the second watch that the CGI was in some parts was not as bad as I thought it was. Like in the first episode, that first section, I thought the CGI was a lot worse than it actually was. But in the rewatch, some were better than it was. Some were just as bad as I remember them. I say like I saw this show like 6 months ago, but it was just last week.
Yeah, overall though, that.
Oh, so this was the episode. So prior to this is the episode where the teen dies. This is the episode. I just spoiled that section. Though, I'm sorry. But your pick died,
Yeah, first.
and you didn't have to go into spoilers for it. All right, so that's just a mini spoiler, and I apologize for that, guys.
I don't know who my pick is.
If they've seen the show, though, they'll know who it was.
No.
It was the first one to die.
Yeah, but I never said who it was.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So, I found that funny.
I was like, oh yeah, that one.
This is I can't go into the aesthetic value comment that we made because that's a spoiler as well.
Of what?
The aesthetic value. We'll talk about that when the spoilers.
Okay.
Mary taking shots with no rear sight. I don't think they know how bullets work. I don't think they know how guns work.
It is Devil May Cry.
It is Devil May Cry. You would think that they would know how to use guns.
I don't remember Ebony and Ivory ever having sights on them now that I think about it.
it was the early 2000s. It was the low budget. Those take too much time.
Yeah.
Again, more Mary hate from you.
We'll make a different segment entirely about how much I don't like her.
We will. All right. So your final thoughts then for episode number 4.
That was pretty average.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Honestly,
I think again I'm gonna rate higher than you on all of these episodes.
I'm trying to give it a 6, but really it's about a 5.
Really, it's an average episode for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts on it? You don't have to give any if you don't want to.
I'm not gonna lie, episode 4 was forgettable. It's not.
It is. It's very forgettable.
I wouldn't say skip it. It's not one of the ones that
Yeah.
like you 100% need, but it was forgettable.
It was gone.
Yeah, aside from that beginning portion, it was pretty forgettable.
So it was a 5 for you.
Yeah.
I'd say it was a 5 for me.
You know what? Now that I think about it. No, I think that's the next episode.
We'll discuss that.
Okay.
Because this one ended with a big bang.
Was no spoiler, but was the family in that episode?
The family.
Yeah.
We can cut this. Episode 5. Title. So we'll start off with this. Full devil trigger transformation. Thoughts. Thoughts. Yeah.
Don't ask for my thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask for my thoughts on that.
I already know your thoughts on that.
Listen, I like the show.
Yeah. Let's not ruin it with our thoughts on the devil trigger looks.
I like the show.
Yes.
That was disappointing. Disappointing isn't really even the word.
Yes.
I was hurted by that. I'm shook that they actually went that far.
Yes, there's the choice.
You know, that was a choice. Yes,
all right.
That was a choice.
Was it the word? Was it bad because of the animation, or was it bad because of the design?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, both.
We'll get into the spoilers on. Yeah, we'll just skip past that one.
Full Devil Trigger was.
Full Devil Trigger was not your favorite.
Can I? It felt.
Well, you're the co-host. You can do whatever your heart's desire.
Felt like
just remember, I have to edit it out.
Fucking Voltron. Okay, it was bad. It looked like
CGI Voltron.
Yeah, it looked like that. Isn't that out right now?
Yeah, Voltron?
Like recently?
Voltron's been out for like...
No, like a newer show recently that came out. Where
yeah, there was the same
CG.
Studio that made this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's been out since like 2018.
It looked like they just...
Alright, we'll move on to that before we get you worked up and we go too far.
Repaint.
Yes. Gotta pass the Gimme Gun. I gotta pass that as well.
Did we get to the RPG yet?
No. You're talking about the RPG?
Yeah.
Just tell me so I can...
The magical RPG. Yeah. You don't remember? She shot it, and without reloading.
Oh no! That's further.
What the fuck is that?
That's further. We'll skip that spoiler for right now. That's like episode 7.
Oh.
This was the CGA fight between Full Devil Trigger and the one demon.
Okay, the fight itself was pretty cool.
Okay.
Not gonna lie, I can get past
it being CGI.
I was gonna say I can kind of get past Dante's design there, but yeah, I can kind of get past the CG and the design for the fact that the fight itself was pretty good.
This was it's a small spoiler. This is the one where his sword magically appeared.
Okay, so for the life of me, I can't remember if that was something that happened in the game or not.
We'll discuss it. In 5, he still has a sword.
Okay.
In Devil Trigger, but we'll move past it. We'll talk more about that. Yeah, most of these talking points that I have for 5 are spoiler related. So we'll kind of just go.
It kind of gets deper into the show. So
yeah,
like by that
as
point,
we went on, it stopped being about like our first impressions and it started being more about things that we saw.
Right.
That I started taking notes on, but yeah. So we will final thoughts and ranking. Not ranking. What am I trying to say?
Rating.
So
that one was pretty good in terms of like the episode.
Yeah.
I'd say overall, it was definitely better than 2, 3, and 4.
Better than 2, 3, and 4. Okay.
Yeah, I would say I'd give that one. That one's going back up, so I'd give that one a 7.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I'm sitting at a 7 as well for that episode. What we can't talk about kind of brings it back up to me, and it starts to pick back up. And then the next episode, well, we'll see in a second. But episode 6, I have.
Is this the?
This is that episode. I have 2 notes for this.
The one
without really any audio.
Okay.
So we'll we can't really discuss what it really talks about.
Without giving it away.
Yes.
That's by far one of my favorite episodes.
Okay. So the only thing that I can really talk about as well is how you feel about the 2 different animation styles that were in this episode. Did they clash? Did they work together? Did it make the episode better? Did it make the episode worse?
Okay,
and then
so
final thoughts and rating. Just all in one.
Again, without spoilers. At this point in the show, you already understand why there's different animation styles.
Well, we talked about it in episode like 2 or 3.
Right. But I wouldn't say that I hated that they decided to change it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't clash. It was so new
Mm-hmm. It
that
was different.
it kind of threw me off at first.
Now, when
That
you
was
say
like-
when you say new, what do you mean by that?
Like it hadn't been done in the show yet,
Okay, so it was
And-
new to the show, is what you mean.
and it was supposed to represent something that had already
Yes.
been something else. So I want to say like the first 5 minutes of those scenes, I was a little bit more lost.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I was
Which
like,
I figured
okay,
you would be,
are they
'cause you
trying to
kinda gotta-
represent-
You gotta watch to the end for it all the time.
Yeah, you know, like it. If you, and it's very brief. There's a few scenes where you see some others like
Mhm.
that, but
Okay.
like if you,
You're talking about the flashbacks.
mm, kind of in the flashbacks, but like in some of the earlier episodes too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The flashbacks in the earlier episodes.
Yeah, so like you kind of get to see it, but honestly, like if you're not paying attention, the first few minutes can be a little confusing.
Okay.
But being that they decided to not do any dialogue for that episode,
Well, there was dialogue.
I feel like
There was dialogue towards the end of it.
it gave it a lot more personality.
It was a choice. It was an artsy choice.
Yeah, and it was honestly it was a good one.
Yeah. So what would your rating be?
That one definitely gets an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's solely based off of they were able to fully tell a story, and honestly, even if they didn't do dialogue, I would have got the same impression.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a 9.
Okay.
I liked the fact that they went with the 2 choices. I liked the story that they were telling. I liked how it fit into the actual show, and it kind of gave a lot of context to everything that's happening in this season and everything that's going to happen after this episode.
Right.
You know, it kind of I don't want to say it justifies the main villain, but it does kind of give you his point of view and make you kind of understand why he is doing what he's doing.
There's a small spoiler in the episode right before where
In
I-
episode 5.
yeah, I didn't understand it at first, but
Is it a spoiler we can talk about now or wait?
yes and no. We can talk about it a little bit now, but like
Okay.
the majority of it has to wait.
Right.
In that scene before with the blue guy, when he pushed the button.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay, wait. Yes, I know what you're talking about now.
So-
That blue guy.
I didn't understand his frustration
Mm-hmm.
until I saw that episode.
Well,
where
I mean,
things were like starting to make sense as to why he was upset,
mm-hmm.
even though he wasn't like the main bad guy.
Yeah.
He was
I
just
mean, you would have
one
thought
of
from
the
how often he was in the show.
right.
But it does. See, to me, even without episode 6, I understood why the blue guy was crashing out. Just based off of the events that he witnessed.
Right, and yeah, you could see why, but like,
It gave him more context.
yeah, it absolutely gave it a lot more depth once you see that 6th episode, and then you get to start to really see the backstory of every one of those characters
Yes.
that really gets
That we've
to
been
say
watching.
things.
We've been following their journey.
Yeah.
All right, so we gave our ratings. Let's move on to episode 7. First one. Who is Mystery Guy? We know who Mystery Guy is because we are familiar with the source material, and also it's really not that hard to figure out.
Yeah, he.
I made a joke about it. I'm like, I wonder who it could be, but we figured it out immediately. I mean, I figured it out, and I barely know anything about the source material.
was that the first time he was shown?
It was the first time he was shown.
Okay. I thought he was the wing dude.
You thought that this specific character was the bad guy's right-hand man.
Yeah, just like because for some reason when I first saw him, I was like, "Oh, is that the other guy?"
Yeah.
But as soon as they started talking to each other, I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
he comes up with something and knows a lot.
Yeah. Like, how are you the only person that can get that item?
Yes. The love interest angle that is being pushed in this episode.
Ain't being pushed on me.
Well, that's true because you didn't like. So what I can take away is you didn't like it. It's okay if you didn't like it.
I just don't like her.
You just don't like her. We're trying to be vague without saying who the two love interests are. But if you even look at the trailers, you can figure out who the.
By the second episode, you figure it out.
Yeah. All right. What were your? I'll skip that one until the very end of this, but that's a spoiler.
Ooh, this one's not a spoiler, and I don't think you caught this.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the bad guys that were there, just in the episode, shown overall, a lot of those are callbacks to older enemies and bosses from in the game itself.
Even Hammerhead Shark Guy?
Yeah.
He was my favorite one.
And they were all really cool.
I was really upset, and then I got really happy.
Ah, yes, more inconsistencies.
Yes, this is what I have it on the notes. So we'll do it in spoilers.
I don't even think that's a spoiler at this point. We're on episode 7. we're pretty much into the spoilers.
No, why I was happy. Why I was sad at first and then I was happy because you pointed out the inconsistency to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I meant by review feelings. Whatever. Oh no, I take it back. How did you feel about the reveal of what the main bad guy, like the ending reveal of the main bad guy for this episode?
Honestly, the bad guy overall was put together really nice.
Yes.
His backstory was put together really nice.
Yes.
I like that he is his own martyr in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Was the crash out justifiable?
Yeah, mainly because I don't like her, but yes.
No, I meant the crash out. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. So you
me,
kind of like
me and him resonate on a very
you understand the crash
similar level.
You're both fans of that book as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like. I mean, I knew as soon as episode 6 happened, I understood what was going on with the reveal, what was going to happen. But I'm kind of more talking about what else you saw besides after he ripped off his mask. I'm talking about like a specific part of his anatomy.
The thing?
The thing, yeah.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. Honestly, that was I mean, it felt very. I've seen it before, you know?
Steampunk. Steampunk-esque.
I like...
Your dog's blocking the camera. Come here, Bill.
Sit.
I need the people to see my pretty face.
Sit with us, my friend.
Alright, so did you like the reveal or no?
I did. The whole bad guy in general was probably like one of my more favorite parts.
Justifiable crash out, you said.
Yeah.
The end fight, like the whole thing starting from Mary to the very end of the episode. What were your thoughts on it?
He was this close.
He was this close?
He could have fixed a lot of problems.
He could have. He could have.
But decided
you were very
to.
Happy at one point.
But decided not to because there was a secondary fight going on that was pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's funny because it was one of those inconsistencies where you saw it happen and then the second fight pops up and then you see them in the background and but they're in a completely different position.
Huh? What?
Alright. So you like the end fight altogether?
Oh yeah. That wasn't even the end fight.
The end fight of this episode, I mean.
Yeah.
Alright, so you like that?
It was a really good build up.
Yes. Alright, so final thoughts and rating.
Final thoughts. Soulsborne game.
Okay.
And I'm not
Soulsborne-esque.
I'm not gonna explain that, but some of you might get it.
You're gonna have to clarify that in spoilers.
Okay. So Soulsborne, really great. Good choreography, great callbacks to a bunch of different enemies. I'd give that one a 9.
Okay. Actually, for once, I am lower than you. I'm at a 7 on this
Okay.
one. I liked it. But I think kind of the inconsistency started to take me out of it. This is when I was starting to kind of drag a little bit, and I'm like, all right, let's get to the point.
Right. Yeah.
And then the next episode, I kind of went, all right, this I like the show overall, but some choices in the next episode kind of I didn't like.
Yeah.
So you're an 8, you said?
Yeah.
And I'm at a 7. All right. And then we're on the final episode. Episode 8.
Okay.
Whatever that's gonna be. First thing, I thought, and this is the thing that kind of took me out of this episode as well.
Right.
Actually, I think it's the only sticking point I have for this episode. I like the old design better.
What do you mean?
For the main bad guy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I thought they did that thing where it's spoilers, but I thought it was one of those cliches that frustrates me every time that they do.
What?
Where they go from his initial design to where he went for the final episode.
Right.
I don't like when they do that. So your thoughts on the old design versus that new design?
I like the old design, but it did feel too Castlevania.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna you might have to clarify that unless it's not a spoiler.
He looked like a vampire the whole time.
Okay.
Which, again, I like the main bad guy.
We didn't review Castlevania Nocturna.
Right.
We should probably do that as well.
I like the main bad guy. I like what he stood for. I didn't like how.
Alright.
I wish he sit like Camilla all the time.
It's kind of in the way.
With this big ass couch and you can't figure out a spot.
Yeah. Alright, so sorry about that, guys. We had some technical difficulties there. But you were saying you didn't like the old, or your thoughts on the old design versus new design.
So I did like it. I liked the bad guy.
I'm sorry, Bill. You like the bad guy
overall.
Okay.
What he was about, why he was fighting. I don't like how he went about things.
Okay.
Hey, come here, Bill. Because he ended up taking it a little too far.
Okay. But I mean, it was justified in your mind, or was it too far?
Some of the actions that he took in his process to get or achieve his goal were skewed.
Okay.
And I can see why that's a problem. But the one thing I didn't like about the bad guy was his face reveal. You
didn't like the face reveal. Well, that was the previous episode, though.
I know, like, not that I didn't like it. He was just too boring to be what he was.
It was too generic.
Yeah.
Like, you had a really cool design, and then it was just generic.
Yeah, the mask that he had on throughout the whole thing, banger. I mean, that kept me gripped. Like, I was kind of scared the whole time. Like, okay, dude's creepy.
And it's not something you would normally be scared of.
Right. So they did really good with that, and then they took his mask off, and he was handsome, and I'm like, no,
I'm handsome Squidward.
Yeah, I'm no longer scared. I'm like, he's gonna write a really good contemporary piece.
Yeah, like he's gonna go be at Starbucks.
Yeah. When they gave him that,
even with the fucked up face.
Yeah, exactly. Like he looked too Victorian era bad guy.
Mm-hmm. So that might be another Castlevania for you,
right?
And that might have played into the Castlevania.
So when they gave him that second chance, it felt right. And when they did that, it kind of also calls back to the whole Raccoon City thing. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you caught it, but I think it was either episode 1 or episode 2, where they're in. Where it's, I'll just say it, the president and the cabinet, and the president is talking about what he's dealing with compared to the previous president. And it's slightly a spoiler, but it's also been one of those things where you see it all the time on like TikTok and Instagram, so it's not really a spoiler because everyone's seen it. But the president's talking about, I got bioengineered mutants. So that's like another one of those Capcom, not Konami. Capcom things that they put in there.
Right.
Because that ties to Resident Evil.
Yeah, it felt very. Again.
Is Castlevania?
Soulsborne. Oh shoot,
I think
it
it's
might
Konami.
be. Konami's the ones that made.
Yeah, I'll throw it up on the screen. What it is.
Yeah,
But I think it's Konami.
Konami made Metal Gear
Yes, it did.
and Silent Hill.
Yes, it did. We're going on a side tangent here. Let's try and reel it back in.
But Silent Hill's also Capcom.
Is it? No, that's it. All right, we're going off on a side tangent. We're gonna come back to all that.
Yeah, the games are both.
I can't really go into these other points because of just how the episode is, because it's spoilers at this point.
Come on.
I can't really go into the sword design. Can't really go into the reveal. Just basically, do you think it was a satisfying ending to this season?
No.
No, well, I want more too, but like the way it wrapped up.
No.
All right, because of spoiler reasons.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get into that then. But all right, is there anything else you want to touch on, or you want to hit your final points, and we'll go into the verdict and then the final verdict overall of the entire series. So let's do. You want some talking points real quick, or you want to go to your final thoughts?
A little bit of both.
All right, so I'll just let you talk, and then you give your rating on this episode.
So I liked the episode. I like what they did. Mm-hmm. It hurts me.
It hurts me.
That is the last episode of the season,
mm-hmm.
and
we're not. They might do something Castlevania Nocturna where we don't get another episode for 2 years.
And I don't like that we got some characters that we won't have anymore. I don't like that some of the characters are still with us that we shouldn't have anymore.
Well, we'll go into it. But you knew she was going to survive. She's a love interest.
Don't want her to. Can we write her off the show, guys?
Yeah, we'll talk to our contacts at Capcom and Netflix.
Come on, chat. Can we put like a...
This isn't Twitch.
Delete.
I know that most people know you from Twitch, but at least they get to see our faces now. But yeah, your final thoughts on that on the episode.
Overall, I think it's so much to pack in with the last episode without being able to talk about the spoilers. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit harder to explain like my final thoughts on it. But I would say I like how they set us up for the rest of it.
For future season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll give it that.
Rating.
I'll give that one like a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. It's rated a little bit less than the last episode.
Okay.
But
way off on this one.
That's okay. Without spoilers, 7 out of 10. With spoilers, it was like more like a 9.
Well, it's your rating.
I know, but they won't know.
You don't have. Yes, they'll watch the next episode. They'll understand why you give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
So give it your rating with the spoilers in mind.
9 out of 10.
Okay.
You guys will figure out why.
All right. So that's why I rated it too. I rated it a 9. I thought it was a good conclusion to our main bad guy's story.
Yeah.
I thought it kind of tied everything up. I want him to come back because he was a good villain, but unfortunately that doesn't seem like how it's going to be with how it ended. But it was a satisfying conclusion to him, and I think overall it was a good ending to the series, not the series, the season.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
To me, I give it a 9 out of 10 as well.
That's good. Yeah, it was that one was a good episode.
All right, so we're in agreement with that. Overall, the series. Just gonna give give it a breakdown. No spoilers, but kind of give it a breakdown overall, and then a rating overall as well.
I like what they did. I like Dante's new. I like his new. Yeah.
It's new. Okay.
Yeah, let's give it that. It's a lot of different things. The same personality, but a new voice. Same look, new texture. Same model, different mannerisms, but like overall still Dante. You know, you get a little bit of new here with a little bit of the same old. When it came to villains still doing what the villains in Devil May Cry do.
Yeah. It's across the board.
Trying to open up portals to hell.
Yes. That's not a spoiler because that's just Devil May Cry.
I mean, the demons on the demon side want to take over humanity. It is what it is.
Yeah. Humans were kind of dicks. That ending, we didn't touch on it, but that ending, humans were kind of a dick. But we did verify who we thought a certain character was.
Yeah.
And that was the final shot. I don't know if you caught it, but Dante's fate at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So you caught that as well. So we won't dispose on that as well.
That's why I also hate the last episode.
Yeah. All right. So let's we've kind of been going a little bit long, but let's wrap this up with our ratings. Or like a big final thought that you have, and then a rating.
Overall, I like the show. Honestly, I can't wait for the next season to come out.
Yep.
I want to see what they're going to continue to do.
I'm excited.
I'm not a huge fan of how this one ended, but it does set us up for
we did give
the
it
next. Yeah, it does set up for the next season. Some of the characters I love. One of the characters I hate.
She's the love interest. You gotta keep her.
No mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So final rating.
3 out of 5.
So a 6 out of 10.
6.5 out of 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So only slightly above average.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It could have been done slightly better through maybe a different animation studio, and I think that probably would have solved the majority of the problems I had.
I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10 with a high recommendation for this show.
Yeah.
It's a high recommendation. It's definitely something that you need to go out and get. Now, I will say, let's think. Is it a show that you are that I would require you to go and get Netflix because you have to see it?
No.
So you wouldn't say you have to get Netflix to see this show? No,
but if you do have Netflix, please watch it.
All right. So you're saying if you have Netflix, watch it, but this isn't something that you would go out of your way to buy Netflix for to watch again.
Right.
Okay. I would agree with that. I would agree. I would recommend watching it if you have the chance. Any final thoughts on this before we go into the spoiler video?
I think that really pretty much covers all of it.
All right. So we will end this one and head into the spoiler video, guys. So with that being said, guys, Nighthawk Gaming out. Peace.